Welcome back, everyone. We are diving into a real estate deal from December 2013 in Baltimore today that really got our attention.
Yeah, it's got all the makings of a legal thriller, that's for sure.
We've got our hands on some legal documents for this deep dive, specifically um, a credit line deed of trust, security agreement, assignment of leases and rents, and fixture filing.
And let me tell you, this document is a wild ride from start to finish.
Absolutely. So to set the stage a bit, we've got our players. Eager Street Development 28 LLC, they're the borrower, looking for a cool $250,000.
Right, a hefty chunk of change.
And then on the other side, we've got Healthy Planet LLC, the lender. But these guys, they're not just handing over a suitcase full of cash and crossing their fingers.
Not even close. What's remarkable about this document, and we'll probably just call it the document for short, is how it reveals a really calculated approach to lending, one you don't always see. It goes way beyond your typical mortgage agreement.
It really does. So how does Healthy Planet make sure they are covered in this deal?
Well, they basically said, we want to secure this loan with everything but the kitchen sink.
And they weren't kidding around, were they?
Not at all. The document lists a jaw-dropping 23 properties as collateral.
23.
23. We're talking properties spanning Eager Street, Northport Street, North Milton Avenue, even Ashland Avenue. It's a significant chunk of Baltimore real estate we're talking about here.
Wow. Okay. So they're serious about their collateral. But here's where it gets really interesting for me. They didn't just stop at listing addresses. This document dives into what seems like an insane level of detail.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, tell me about the improvements. What does that even mean in this context?
So improvements in this case aren't just your run-of-the-mill renovations. Think machines, equipment, every fixture imaginable. They even included things like awnings and landscaping. It's like they wanted to claim ownership of every blade of grass on those properties if the loan went belly up. Seriously. It's like they were playing real-life Monopoly, and they wanted all the houses, hotels, even the little greenhouses.
Yeah.
But it gets even better, right? They didn't just stop at tangible assets.
Oh, no, no, no. They went a step further.
Of course they did.
They included rents, any income generated from the properties. And get this, even potential income from future leases.
Wow. So if somebody decided to rent out one of these properties 10 years down the line, Healthy Planet would, in theory, have a claim on that income.
It's mind-boggling. And if that wasn't enough, there's the general intangibles, trademarks, business names, even the water taps and sewer connections.
Wait, hold on. They included water taps as collateral?
You read that right.
That seems wild. I mean, what's the strategy there?
It's all about control and minimizing risk. See, by including these general intangibles, Healthy Planet wasn't just lending on the buildings themselves, they were securing a claim on the very business itself, its brand, its future earning potential. So if Eager Street Development defaults, Healthy Planet could, in theory, waltz in, take over the business, slap their name on it, and they'd even inherit the plumbing.
It sounds crazy, I know.
It does.
But that's the level of detail and control outlined in this document. They were thinking long-term, considering all possible scenarios and making sure they had a claim on anything of potential value.
Wow, that is some next-level lending there. It's a good thing this document isn't my mortgage agreement. They'd own my coffee maker and my vintage board game collection if it was. This is really intense. They've locked down the collateral with incredible detail, but we're not done yet, are we?
You're right. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Because this isn't just your average run-of-the-mill mortgage agreement.
You hit the nail on the head. This document isn't content with being just a mortgage. It goes a step further. It declares itself a security agreement as well, and that's a crucial distinction.
Okay, so for those of us who aren't fluent in legalese, break it down for us. What's the significance of that?
Well, think of a security agreement as an extra layer of protection for the lender, like a safety net on top of a safety net. It basically gives Healthy Planet additional legal options if Eager Street Development can't cough up the cash.
So it's like a two-for-one deal in terms of legal safeguards.
Exactly. It's a very savvy move. It highlights the strategic thinking involved in this whole transaction. They wanted to be absolutely certain they had recourse if things went south. And remember those 23 properties we mentioned earlier?
I do. It's hard to forget 23 properties.
Well, there's a clause about what happens if the loan goes into foreclosure that really caught my eye.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it. What's so unusual about this foreclosure clause?
So typically with a foreclosure, a lender would have to sell all the properties together as a single bundle.
Makes sense.
But this document throws that out the window.
Yeah.
It allows Healthy Planet to sell the properties in parts, individually, if they choose.
Whoa, that's a game changer. So it's like They anticipated that finding a buyer for 23 properties at once might be a tough sell, especially if the market takes a dip. So they gave themselves an out, a way to maximize their return by selling off pieces of the pie strategically.
Precisely. It's yet another example of their incredibly meticulous approach to protecting their investment. They weren't just thinking about getting their money back. They were potentially even thinking about profiting from the situation, which, when you think about it, is a little bit, well, unsettling.
Yeah, you're wading into some ethically murky waters
A
there.
little bit, yeah.
It's like they went into this whole deal with a chess master's mindset, thinking several moves ahead.
Absolutely.
It makes you wonder what they knew that maybe others didn't, especially with that unusual foreclosure clause.
Right.
But before we go full conspiracy theorist here,
Mhm.
let's take a step back for a second and, connect this back to our listeners a bit. Why should they care about all these intricate legal maneuvers? What's the takeaway for the average person?
Well, at its core, this document is like a crash course in contractual savvy. It highlights the importance of really understanding the fine print, regardless of the deal you're making. I mean, this is important whether you're buying a house, signing a lease, even entering a business partnership.
Right. Because it's not enough to just kind of skim through a contract and assume you've got the gist of it, right?
Yeah.
As we've seen with this whole real estate deal, a single phrase like general intangibles can have massive implications down the line.
Oh, absolutely. And, beyond the legal jargon, this document really underscores the importance of strategic thinking in any agreement. Healthy Planet didn't just throw money at a development project. They approached it like a carefully calculated investment, considering every single angle and safeguarding their interests.
It's like that old saying, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, taken to the extreme.
Exactly. And that's a valuable lesson for anyone, regardless of their financial dealings. Whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting out, understanding the importance of due diligence, risk assessment, legal protection, that can save you from a lot of headaches and financial pitfalls down the road.
Absolutely. So let's say you're about to enter into a contract. Maybe it's for a business deal or even something as, I don't know, as simple as a home renovation. What's the key takeaway from this deep dive that you should keep in mind?
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
It's so simple, but so important.
If something seems unclear or overly complicated, just ask for clarification. Consult with an expert, get a second opinion. It's always, always better to be safe than sorry.
Such a crucial point.
Mm.
Because sometimes we can be hesitant to ask questions. We don't want to appear uninformed.
Sure.
But in reality, asking questions demonstrates that you're engaged, you're paying attention, and you're looking out for your own best interests. And there's nothing wrong with that at all.
I couldn't agree with you more. And as we've seen, the details matter. What might seem like an insignificant clause could have significant ramifications down the line.
So we've unpacked the who, the what, and even the how of this fascinating Baltimore real estate deal. But there's one burning question that's been lingering in the back of my mind, and I'm sure our listeners are wondering the same thing.
And that's the why.
Why did Healthy Planet LLC file this lien in June 2014?
Right.
A full 7 months after the initial loan agreement was signed back in December of 2013.
It's like we've stumbled upon a real-life mystery novel.
Yeah.
We've got this meticulously crafted document, a cast of characters, and then, boom, a plot twist.
A delayed lien.
Exactly. What happened in those intervening months? Did Eager Street Development miss a payment? Did the Baltimore real estate market suddenly take a nosedive?
Did they lose a bet with Healthy Planet LLC, and this was the consequence? We don't know.
We just don't know.
And that's what makes this so fascinating.
And that, my friend, is the million-dollar question. Or should I say, the $250,000 question.
Okay, so maybe we don't have all the answers, but that's part of what makes this deep dive so interesting.
Oh.
What do you think? So it sounds like Healthy Planet LLC was leaving absolutely nothing to chance with this deal.
You got it. They were taking every precaution imaginable.
Which, when you're talking about that much money, it makes sense to be thorough. But there's one more layer to this whole thing that we haven't even touched on yet.
Oh, right.
This document is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's not content with being just a mortgage or a security agreement. It's both.
It's like they ordered the legal equivalent of everything on the menu when it came to protecting their investment.
Seriously, it's like overkill in the best way possible.
Exactly.
So for our listeners who are thinking, okay, this is fascinating and all, but I'm not a real estate mogul, why does this matter to me? What's the big takeaway?
This document is a masterclass in risk mitigation. Think of it this way. You wouldn't, jump out of a plane without checking your parachute first, right? Well, entering into any financial agreement without understanding the risks and the safeguards is kind of like skydiving without a parachute. You're just asking for trouble.
That's a terrifying but accurate analogy. So whether you're signing a lease, starting a business, even just lending money to a friend, the lesson here is clear. Due diligence is key. Understanding the terms, assessing the potential risks, making sure you're protected legally, that can save you from a world of hurt down the line.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Seek expert advice. Make sure you're comfortable with every single detail before you sign on the dotted line. Remember, in the world of contracts and agreements, knowledge is power.
It's like they always say, the devil is in the details. And this document proves that sometimes those details can be as juicy and intriguing as a John Grisham thriller. We've got hidden clauses, we've got mysterious timelines, twists and turns that would make even the most seasoned Monopoly player blush.
And the best part is, our listeners might just hold the key to unlocking this whole real estate riddle.
Oh, I like where you're going with this.
Right. Maybe someone out there has a piece of the puzzle that we're missing. A local news article, a market analysis from that time period, maybe even just a hunch.
If you've got any insights into this Baltimore real estate saga, we want to hear from you.
Don't be shy, folks. Share your theories, your insights. Help us crack the case.
This is a real-life mystery, people, and we need your help to solve it. So as we wrap up this deep dive, remember, the world is full of these fascinating stories, hidden in plain sight. Sometimes all it takes is a curious mind and a willingness to dig a little deeper to uncover the truth. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, you'll be the one to connect the dots and solve the mystery of the Healthy Planet LLC lien.
That's right. Keep those thinking caps on, folks. There's always more to uncover. And who knows what we'll dive into next time.
Until then, happy digging, everyone.